Peace and blessings, YouTube. Fierce ESG Diva here, and I am back with my post-op 3-month video update. So I am wearing the exact same thing as I was wearing in my 2-month video because I posted them on the same day. I was a bit behind on my videos. However, I wanted to make sure that I did give you my 3-month post-op video as close to me hitting the 3-month mark as possible. So if you want to know how I did during month 3 and just my overall thoughts on the process, stay tuned. Hey y'all, before we get into this video, you know my usual spiel. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and also follow me on Instagram at Fierceesgdiva. I do post daily, sometimes several times a day on Instagram. I am much more active there, so if you want to know what I eat every single day, activities that I'm doing, calorie burn, overall thoughts, and just some tips and things that I have learned so far through the process, go ahead and follow me on Instagram. You can also view my food diary on MyFitnessPal. It's the same name, Fierceesgdiva, all one word. Or if you can't find me, sometimes people cannot find me on MyFitnessPal, then you can drop your MyFitnessPal username in the comments, and then I will find you. All right, so let's get into the update. So today is November 22nd. We are a couple of days away from Thanksgiving, and I made 3 months post-op on November 19th. So I am only a couple of days off from my end of 3 months, and I just started into my 4th month. So here's some weight stats and updates. So on October 19th, 1 month ago, I was 239.4 pounds. As of November 19th, I was 228.2 pounds. That is a monthly loss of 11.2 pounds and a total loss of 48.4 pounds. Y'all, I am knocking at the door of 50 pounds, which I am extremely excited about because typically 30 pounds was about as much as I could do on my own prior to ESG. So at 228 pounds right now, I am about 10 pounds smaller than I was my freshman and sophomore year of college. Okay, so when I was 18, 19, I was 10 pounds heavier than I am now. I told y'all I've always been a big girl, and that freshman 15 definitely got me when I was in college. So I am lighter now than I was when I was in college. I cannot remember being 228, but then again, I don't really remember me weighing myself very often. I wasn't overly concerned with weight because I would dress it up, and I was one of those big girls that thought, okay, I still look good, which I did. So that didn't really bother me. I never had self-esteem issues, so I honestly did not stay on a scale a whole lot. But I do remember my freshman year or sophomore year of college, I did go on a diet where I had to start trying to track my weight, and I vividly remember tracking my starting weight at 237. So that's how I know that I am, about 10 pounds lighter now than I was then when I was 19, 20 years old, and I am 37 years old right now. So I'm excited about that. I think the ESG is working. I always say, I quote Maya Angelou, nothing will work unless you do. So I know that I have been putting in the work, and so I guess as long as I do my part, it will do its part. So that's kind of what my weight is as far as status there. As far as nutrition, my nutrition has not changed from my 2-month post-op video. So in my 2-month post-op video, I told you that I transitioned into the regular diet, and my nutritionist gave me new macros and a new caloric goal. It's the same as it was when I met with her again this month, and even with my doctor this past month. It was like, okay, keep doing what you're doing because it's working. We're not going to change anything until we just really have to. So right now my goal is 90 grams of protein, 40 grams of fat, 120 carbs. Just as I mentioned in my month 2 video, I'm still having issues with that fat. I still kind of frequently go over the fat because of cheese and olive oil and guacamole, and it's all good fat, right? It's the good fat that I'm consuming, but it is fat in itself. So I still have a little bit of issues with my fat. By carbs, I don't really ever hit 100 carbs, and that is total carbs. That's not net carbs. So I don't really ever hit 100 carbs. My doctor told me that he would like for me to try to get to at least 75, 80 carbs just because of my activity level. As far as my protein, I have hit 90 grams of protein a couple of times, but most of the time I'm around 80 or so grams of protein. I am still supplementing with a protein shake. So now I have my Premier Protein and my Quest protein on like auto delivery because I go through a lot of protein shakes. I mix protein shakes in my coffee. I make smoothies with the protein shakes. I just drink the protein shakes. So I typically have a protein shake almost every day. Sometimes I have a whole one. Sometimes I have a half a one, just kind of depending on what food I have planned for myself throughout that day or throughout that week. So for instance, if I know I'm going to eat something kind of heavy on the protein later, like I'm going to have some steak or something later, I know that's high in protein, then I might not need a whole protein shake earlier in order to be able to kind of hit that, 80, 90 grams of protein. So that's kind of how I plan it out. Now, as far as meal preps and things like that, right now I am not actually meal prepping. I kind of plan in my head, and sometimes I'll jot down like, oh yeah, I'm going to eat this week, or when I grocery shop, but I don't cook in bulk on one day and then have the meals in my refrigerator just waiting on me to eat them. The reason I don't is because I've been working at home since March, and so I have all the access I want to my kitchen. So I don't really feel like I need to do that as of right now. I also make sure that I try to eat on a schedule. So if you follow me on my Fitness Pal, you'll see that I have my meals timed out according to when I wake up. And typically they're every 2.5 to 3 hours is when I do a meal and a snack type situation. So I do try to eat on a schedule. I don't really try to stop eating at a certain point because sometimes I, decide I'm going to sleep late that day, and then sometimes I'm not eating, dinner until 9 p.m., 10 o'clock at night. But I also am a bit of a night owl, so I stay up a little bit later too. So I'm just not overly concerned with trying to stop eating at a certain time. I have gone out to eat several times in this past month or so. I have no food restrictions, so I'm not avoiding any food. I eat the bread. I eat, the pasta if I want to, but I am making sure that I prioritize my protein first, which is the natural way we're supposed to eat, which is protein first, then veggies, and then carbs. So by the time I get to the carbs, most of the time, and when I say carbs, I mean like starchy carbs, most of the time when I get there, I don't have enough room for them. So it's only, a couple of bites of that. But I have eaten restaurant food. I have gone out to a Mexican restaurant and had, a bit of some cheese enchiladas and things like that. I have had about a half of a hamburger, a small hamburger, of course, like a Whopper or something like that. I've had a couple of chicken nuggets. I've had some French fries. So I am not really avoiding any food because I don't want to start to want that food mentally because of that. I do not have any cravings though. I've been getting some questions about like, are you craving this and are you craving that? And I don't really have any cravings, and I don't really know how to explain that I don't have any cravings. Sometimes I think cravings are maybe more of a mental thing. No judgment on anybody that has cravings, but sometimes I think that maybe more of a mental thing. And so I'm trying to distinguish between like wanting to eat and when I actually am hungry. There are some foods that I have noticed that may be like kind of trigger foods for me, but I have been able to control them. I'm a big popcorn fan, and I have discovered Skinny Pop kettle corn, and it is somewhat addictive. So what I do is I get the little small 100-calorie bags. It's like 100 to 130 calorie bags of popcorn, and I eat that, and then I am done. So I've pretty much had a pretty easier time with nutrition. I have naturally always wanted to, or always eaten, protein, veggies, and a starch within there. That's kind of how I normally balance meals when I've cooked for my family. I always like to have some type of vegetable involved. I wouldn't just, meat and starch. I like to have some type of vegetables involved. For breakfast, I make sure my kids have some type of fruit with their breakfast. So I've always tried to kind of balance, but I think with ESG, it's helped me be able to eat the proportions that I'm supposed to eat without worrying about being hungry or actually feeling hunger, an hour or so later. when I eat what I'm supposed to eat, the portions I'm supposed to eat, then it seems that I don't get hungry until about 2.5 to 3 hours later, which is fine with me. That's exactly how I can eat, especially now that I'm at home. I don't really have to worry about not having access to food or not being able to eat when I want to eat. So, I think it's kind of more of a balance thing. That's kind of what I'm striving for in my nutrition, is balance. As far as my physical activity, I'm still kind of doing the same things I was doing in month 2. So I'm still doing my body weight squats. I try to do 75 to 100 body weight squats. Most of the time it's 75, y'all. My body weight squats within about 3 or 4 times a week, I'll say. I try to get 8,400 steps a day. I know that's not the 10,000 that they tell you, but again, I'm working at home. I sit on a computer a lot when it comes to grading for my students and all that. So I don't really get up, so I have to try to make myself get up and move around a little bit more, and that's when it comes with the activity. So I just set a goal for 8,500 steps a week. Steps a day. I've been participating in a step challenge at my job that they've been doing for the last 3 months. We're actually on the last week or so of the step challenge, and so I've been reporting my steps to someone, and that's helped with accountability and just making sure that I am active. I have upped my cardio to 45 minutes to 60 minutes, or 45 minutes to an hour. Typically, my cardio is walking. I try to get at least 3 miles every time I walk. I try to walk 4 to 5 days a week, sometimes more. It just depends. And I am still doing weights, not body weight sorts, but weights with my arms, 5-pound weights. And my husband actually just got me a little bit of a weight set with the plates and an actual bar. So I feel like I'm really doing something now, right? Like I actually have real weights, y'all. I have not started using them yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to start using them in December. That's probably when it will be, in all honesty. Let's get Thanksgiving out the way and we'll do that. So that's kind of my activity. If you follow me on Instagram, I do post my tracker. I post like how many calories I burn. I post videos of some things I'm doing. Typically it's videos of my cardio. So you might see me out walking, you might see me running, you might see a turbo jam or 2 or turbo fire, a beach body video, something like that. I haven't really posted like all of my workouts, like everything that I do. Maybe a little bit later when I get more comfortable doing that, I might. But as of now, I am really trying to stay active. And I feel like the Instagram community and even posting these YouTube videos has helped me with that. So my goals, y'all, I always have one main goal, and that one goal is just to stay consistent and to be disciplined. That's really been the challenge for me throughout many weight loss journeys, has been just to stay consistent and to stay disciplined. I do not want to get comfortable. I don't want to get lax. I don't want to start thinking I'm extra cute and stop doing what I'm doing. So when I post frequently on Instagram, and I do that more so to hold myself accountable and to help others as well. But y'all, it's more so to hold myself accountable. That's the whole reason that I do it. So my whole goal is for every month is consistency and to be disciplined. I do have some mini goals throughout there. Like one of my mini goals is to rest and not feel guilty about it. I don't know if I'm the only one, but sometimes when I decide I'm going to sleep late or when I don't do something one day, I feel like I should have been doing something. So I'm trying to work on that mental aspect of it. I am trying to do more things like, work with the mental health, the more things like meditation and prayer and, reading more and all of that. It's funny because I'm an English instructor. I teach English at a community college, and I don't read as much as I should for pleasure or even for like self-improvement books, things like that. I read essays that I'm grading or things that we're doing in class. So I have tried to maybe, start doing a little bit more reading or even audiobooks, something like that. So that's a goal. And then my main goal is to, or another like weight loss goal, I guess I would say, is to just lose the 8 pounds a month that they say you should. I set my goals kind of low on that. I do 8 pounds a month. That's 1 to 2 pounds per week. I try not to go higher than that because 1, I don't want to be disappointed. And 2, slow weight loss is fine with me. I have no qualms whatsoever with slow weight loss. When I was speaking with my nutritionist, she said that if I hit a 3-week plateau, that's when I need to contact her. So she said a 3-week plateau. So if you think about it, a 3-week plateau is basically when you see the same number about 4 times, because the first time you saw the number, if it went down, that wasn't a plateau. But then if you see it 3 more times after that for a total of 4, then that's probably when you need to, when I would need to contact her and try to figure out what I need to do to get the scale moving again. So far that hasn't happened. The most time I've seen the number has been like twice in a row. And that was due to stress and me not drinking enough water. So I do make sure that I try to get my 60 to 70 ounces of water in, as well as I still do my IVs either once or twice a month, just for a little extra hydration and sometimes for a little vitamin boost. So let's talk any issues that I've had, any complications. Okay, so this past month, I did ask my doctor if I could drink through a straw. Y'all, I was missing straws. Like, I like drinking through a straw, so I was missing straws. And I asked, could I do that? Would that be okay? And he said, yes, I could go ahead and start drinking through a straw. He didn't recommend that I did it all the time, several times a day, but once in a while, you know, once or twice or a couple times a week shouldn't be a problem. What I found out is that I can drink through a straw when it comes to a thin liquid, but when it's a thicker liquid, like a thick smoothie or so, it does seem to give me gas. I've done it twice with a thicker smoothie and several times with just a regular thin liquid, and had no issues with the regular thin liquids, but with that thicker smoothie, I would have gas, and I would have gas pretty much all day. Like, it was a lasting gas, to the point where I said, okay, let me find some Gas X or some Mylanta or something, because it was just in there and it wasn't coming out. It was just kind of bubbling in there. It didn't hurt. It was not painful. It was just uncomfortable. So I have tried to not drink through a straw as much when it comes to the thicker liquids. When I make my smoothies aren't overly thick because I don't use a thickening agent in there. So typically there's like some spinach and probably a protein shake and sometimes some fruit or something like that, but it's still not a huge amount. When I do that, I can drink through a straw. But if I go somewhere and get a smoothie, say I'm going to go to Smoothie King, or there's a smoothie place that's here in my area that uses like Herbalife products and all that, and I go there every now and then, those smoothies are kind of thick and I can't really drink through a straw with them without risking getting some type of gas. So that's one issue that I've had in the last month or so that I hadn't had previous. The second issue that I've had is hormones. Ladies and those of us people who have monthly cycles. Okay, so what I found out is that the hormones are kind of battling it out inside of me right now, which is causing my cycles to be somewhat irregular. So just for a little background information, and I'm sorry if you've heard this before because I did post on this on IG when it happened, but for a little background information, I have the Mirena IUD, which has the progesterone hormone in it. And so when I first got it, I've had it for a little over a year. When I first got it, after about the first 3 or 4 months, I stopped having cycles altogether. Didn't have them anymore, which I knew would happen. And honestly, I was kind of enjoying not having it too. Well, in October of this past year, I had 2 in the same month. And it was like in a span of maybe, I only had maybe about a week or 2 in between before they both came. And one came on time and the other one came like 3 or 4 days early. And I thought, okay, what is really going on? But I knew that weight loss could do that. But nevertheless, I was still a little bit concerned as somebody that was, was on birth control. When I posted about it on my Instagram page, I had several women send me screenshots of their calendar app that they keep track of their monthly cycles, and all of ours were looking the same. Like they all was like two in 1 month and all of this and not much time in between. So I knew I wasn't overly, or I guess I wasn't overly worried about it, just because I'm like, okay, this is happening to other people. But I did go see my gynecologist, and when I spoke with her, it was time to go anyway. So when I spoke with her, she gave me more of an explanation of it. So apparently, when you have excess fat cells, trapped in the fat is estrogen, is the hormone estrogen. Estrogen thins out the lining of the uterus, right? That's what, thickens the lining of the uterus. That's what estrogen does. It thickens the lining of the uterus. And so then you would actually have cycles. The progesterone in my IUD thins out the lining of the uterus, which is why I stopped having cycles once I had it for a couple of months. So what's happening inside of my poor little uterus is that the estrogen is saying, hey, you need to thicken, and the progesterone is saying thin, thin, thin. And so they're kind of battling it out in there. And honestly, I don't know if anybody's winning just yet. I know I'm not. I think I'm losing in this battle. However, hopefully they will balance out themselves. So she didn't see an issue with me maybe needing to change birth control methods or change one to that wasn't hormonal. She said she didn't see any problems with it. But if it didn't regulate itself out in a couple of months and it seemed like I was having, more issues with it, then to let her know, and we would try to come up with some other options. My nutritionist said just to be careful with my iron supplement, check my multivitamin, see how much iron was in it, because I could be kind of low on the iron because of the excess cycles or the extra cycles. So that has been an issue with the weight loss, but I honestly think that happens with weight loss in general and not just ESG or weight loss surgery weight loss. Another thing that has happened, not a whole lot, but a couple of times, and I did talk to my doctor about it, was I was getting a little bit dizzy, just a little dizziness when, say I would bend down and, stand back up. I would get a little bit of vertigo, I guess. Not enough to where I'm stumbling around, but just enough to where when you raise your head back up, you're like, oh, and you have to kind of stay still for a little bit. It went away quickly. It hasn't happened very often. I would probably say it's maybe happened in the last month about 2 to 3 times, but it was enough to where I wanted to mention it to my doctor when we had our follow-up about it. So he said not to worry. He didn't think it was that big of a deal, but just to kind of track it. And if it starts to happen more frequently, then that's when we can kind of address it. Since I spoke with him, which was 2 weeks ago, I haven't had any dizzy spells whatsoever. So, that may just also be a little bit of a side effect of weight loss. I'm not sure. But those are pretty much the only 3 issues that I can report because of the weight loss in general. So this week coming up is Thanksgiving, and as you may know, I have not actually told my parents that I had weight loss surgery or a weight loss procedure, because I felt like they would worry about me due to some things that have happened to people that we know when it comes to weight loss procedures. And so I honestly didn't want them to worry about me like that, and so I just didn't tell them. I have told more people. I'm not necessarily in my family, but I've told, a couple of people at work, some work coworkers, and honestly, people that it probably didn't even make a difference to begin with, you know what I mean? So I've told a couple of people like that, and everybody has been extremely supportive of it. As a matter of fact, I saw one of my work coworkers a couple of days ago. We decided to meet and go to lunch, and so I saw her. She knew I'd had the procedure, but when she saw me, and she of course complimented, was very complimentary and all that, and she said, it doesn't look drastic like you had weight loss surgery. And I think that comes from people who may have had more invasive procedures of weight loss surgery, and sometimes the weight loss is quicker, because we know that with VSG, with bypass, and I think even maybe with lap band in the beginning, it is a bit faster than ESG. I have a couple of Instagram buddies who had their VSGs and bypasses about the same time I had my ESG, and we're about the same size or so, and they're already about 20 plus pounds ahead of where I am. But that's just kind of the way that those procedures work. I've heard that usually you lose the most, depending on how much you weigh, you lose the most of your weight with those procedures in the first year, whereas with ESG, it's a little bit slower, so you can still be losing weight into the second year. Again, all that's dependent on, I guess, how much you weigh to begin with, how much weight you have to lose, and how much physical activity, and just, what you in general. But I've heard that. So she did say it didn't look drastic. She was like, it doesn't look, like you've had a weight loss procedure. It just looks like you slimmed down and lost some weight. And that's kind of the goal that I'm going for. I'm not trying to mislead anybody with it. If you ask me, I will definitely tell you what I had. But, I did kind of want it to be a little bit slower so that maybe my skin would have a chance to, some of the skin would have a chance to snap back, and I wouldn't have any negative repercussions because of fast weight loss, things like, liver issues or appendix issues, or is it gallbladder? Maybe gallbladder issues. I know that can kind of come up sometimes with fast weight loss. So that was kind of an NSV, I guess, for me, because she said, it didn't really look like I'd had weight loss surgery. It looked extra natural, which is how I wanted it to look. For some other NSVs, I can now jog 20 to 25 minutes straight without holding on to anything, without falling out and dying. I've never jogged before in life. When I was younger and in school, I was a cheerleader and I was on the dance team and all of that, but I didn't do like track and basketball and sports that required running. I didn't do those sports. So the fact that I can jog 20 to 25 minutes straight and still be able to walk a little bit after that is amazing to me. I typically now, when I hit my treadmill, it'll be 10 minutes of warm up and fast walking, then about 20 to 25 minutes of straight jogging, and then about another 10 minutes of walking and cool down. And that's kind of what I've been liking. I've been doing that probably the last 2 weeks or so whenever I hit my treadmill, and I'm going to continue doing that because I'm actually enjoying it. Funny thing is, my dad's a military man and has been jogging since I can remember 3-4 miles, 5 miles daily all the time. And now that he's retired, he just works out all the time. That's what he does. And so it's kind of funny. I sent him a message the other day and just said, hey, guess what? I can jog, this amount of time or whatever. And he said, well, you'll be able to keep up with me soon. And I said, that's the goal. So I'm kind of looking forward to the next time, whenever we get to see each other in family, us maybe actually going out and jogging together. That will be a first for me. And it'll be cool, daddy-daughter bonding type of situation, right? And so the next NSV that I have are my waist beads. So if you've been looking at my pictures on Instagram and some of my videos, I may have talked about I've worn waist beads since March, and they started at the top of my stomach way up high, and they went down to, and they stayed there. Well, now I can actually take those bad boys off if I want to. Now, they don't fall off, but I can pull them off, down and all the way off. But I'm going to keep them on because I want them to fall all the way down. When I walk out of them, that's when I'm going to get some more. So I thought that was a cool visual to be able to see that sometimes even when we think the scale only moved, 0.5 pounds or maybe only 1 pound, your inches are still melting off, and so the inches are important as well as the poundage. So last but not least, I kind of want to go through some things that I have learned on this journey so far. So one of the first things I learned is that I have to measure and weigh my food. I can eyeball a little bit if I'm out somewhere, but when I am home, I typically like to measure and weigh my food. I have 2 food scales and a plethora of measuring cups and, and teaspoons and all that kind of stuff. And I like to measure because I try to measure out the actual serving size of what it is that I'm eating. So if you look on, ground beef, most of the time the serving size of ground beef is 4 ounces. I like to measure out 4 ounces of ground beef, sometimes a little less, but usually never a little more. And so I do measure and weigh meticulously. I think that's something that has helped me throughout this journey. And it's also helping me learn what I can, or I guess how much I can eat, not what I can and can't eat, but how much I can eat. I am learning to listen to my body. I do eat a little bit slower, albeit I don't think I eat as slow as you're supposed to eat, but I do eat a little bit slower than I normally have. You don't really realize you eat slow until you get with someone who eats at the speed that you used to eat at. So that's happened to me a couple of times, and I'm thinking, oh, I do kind of eat slow. So I've learned to kind of listen to my body when it comes to when I am eating, to kind of slow down, to chew a little bit more, and to just kind of wait and feel how I'm feeling with the food. Which brings me to my other point. I am learning how to eat until I'm satisfied and not necessarily full or stuffed. So I feel like there's three levels. There's, eating until you're satisfied, where you're not hungry anymore, eating to when you're full, where you can definitely feel fullness, and then eating until you're stuffed, where you overdid it. I have not overdone it yet, and I honestly try not to even eat until I'm full. I just try to eat until I'm not hungry anymore, which is where the measuring and all that comes in. Because the way I figure it, I could always go back and eat a little bit more if I am not quite full, if I feel like I'm going to get hungry, but most of the time I don't. So for instance, I posted that I had a breakfast sandwich from Starbucks, one of their breakfast sandwiches. I think it was the turkey, bacon, and egg white and all that. All right. Because I hadn't had that breakfast sandwich before, I wasn't quite sure how I was going to tolerate the bread with the breakfast sandwich. So what I did was I ate about half of the breakfast sandwich, and it does come on like a McMuffin type of situation, or English muffin. So I ate about half of it, and then I just kind of waited. And I thought, okay, I'm satisfied a little bit, but I could probably eat a little bit more. So then about an hour later, I went back and ate the rest of it. And so that's kind of how I've been functioning with my approach to food. I do weigh out and measure everything, and then I kind of eat slow and wait and try to listen to my body and figure out what's going on. Last but not least, the mental work, y'all. The mental work is so important for you to do before you consider or go through with a procedure like this. Most of this journey is mental. The majority of it is mental. So it's really important for you to know yourself and know what your strengths and weaknesses are, so you can capitalize on those strengths and try to compensate and prevent, the weaknesses from making you unsuccessful. So for me personally, I knew that one of my strengths was that I do try to eat a balanced meal every time I try to eat, and that I am kind of meticulously organized. I just am, y'all. I'm a Leo Virgo cusp. I don't know if y'all know much about that, but I was born on the day that Leo was changing over to Virgo. And as a matter of fact, at the time I was born, I'm actually classified as a Leo, but I also got a whole lot of Virgo tendencies too. So that Virgo jumps out of me when it comes to the organization and the planning and all of that. So I have my notes here all the time. I keep a planner, I keep a notebook, I keep a calendar, and I'm really meticulous about that. And I think that has helped me mentally in preparing for the weight loss journey. I also like to make sure that I ask myself if I'm really hungry or if I'm just wanting to eat. That's another thing that I try to make sure that I do. And I think it's important that everybody has that planning time, because ESG is not necessarily, is not typically covered by insurance. There's not a lot of regulations on it other than what your doctor wants you to do. My doctor didn't require me to see a psychologist. Some doctors do. Mine did not, which was okay for me because I was prepared to do and address the issues that I had, on my own. However, if you know that you may have some deeper seated issues as to why you are overweight, or as to why you may have some unhealthy habits or an unhealthy relationship with food, I seriously encourage you to seek the help that you need prior to having ESG or prior to having any type of weight loss procedure, but especially ESG, since it's not overly regulated. It's something that has to be done. I had about 2 months of mental preparation before I had my procedure, and I think that has helped me so much. The last thing that has helped me, I think, is you all and my IG family that I have. When I originally started posting these videos and originally started, my IG page, it was more so of a selfish thing, y'all. I was doing it for me to hold myself accountable, because I knew that if I had a following and I had people who were watching me, that it would make me want to be better. And that's what it's done. The other reason is because I didn't see anybody who looked like me that had ESG, not anybody who was my weight, around my weight, the amount of, weight that I had, which was almost, I was close to 300 pounds. So the amount of weight that I had, I didn't see many people who looked at me as far as, looked like me as far as race, culture, ethnicity wise. It was just, there was a void there. So that's really why I started the page and started the YouTube channel. And I love to get people who, I get DMs almost every day of, people interested in ESG and people glad that they found the channel and tell me how much it's helping them with it. And y'all, it honestly helps me a lot too. So I would say, if you're going to, really consider ESG and consider a procedure like this, do that mental work, prepare to be meticulous when it comes to weighing and and doing things that are going to make you successful, and then get yourself a very good support group of people, whether those people are in person with you or whether those people are virtually, that understand and can help encourage and inspire you. Okay. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this video. I'm sorry if this one has turned out longer than I wanted it to turn out. I am so sorry for that, y'all. But please follow me on Instagram, where I will be posting daily, and like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me what you think. And hopefully I'll see you before my month 4 video. I'll try to post maybe a Thanksgiving one right after Thanksgiving to let you know how I did over Thanksgiving. Y'all have a great day. Bye.